Hello, I'm Jeff Arnett, Master Distiller at the Jack Daniel Distillery in Lynchburg, Tennessee. And today I'm excited to talk to you about the two bottles that are on the table in front of me. And this is our before and after unmatured whiskey from Jack Daniel's. This particular product is something that we've made for years, but it's always been exclusive to our sales force. So this is something that we equipped our sales kits with, so employees of the company could go out and talk about the differences of Tennessee whiskey and bourbon, and they actually had physical samples that would allow people to taste and nose and to see the differences and taste the differences. This is the first time that we've offered them to the public, and we're really excited to do that. But in offering them for the first time, we felt like these need to really kind of go out with a set of instructions about how they should be tasted and nosed and interpreted. So hopefully this video will be handy to help you understand how to pour these. You can do exactly what I've done. I would just pour a little bit of the before and a little bit of the after. Make sure that you know which glass is which. You can mark the glasses if you need to. But I think you want to start off by nosing them first. So, when we say before, this means before charcoal mellowing. So the liquid in the before bottle, if we were to put that directly into our new toasted and charred oak barrel, then we would call ourselves Jack Daniel's Tennessee Bourbon. So this is an opportunity to actually taste Jack Daniel's in its bourbon form, if you want to do that. But just pick it up and nose it. And I've presented this many times over the years. When I ask people what does it smell like to them, the thing that I most typically hear is that it smells like yeast, or it smells like bread, or what we describe it here as is it has a grainy nose. You definitely can smell a little bit hint of the corn in this. I know people who've had moonshine before who said that it smells like a jar of moonshine to them, which would not be that inaccurate actually. But we normally go through this part of our process at 140 proof. What we've bottled for you is at 80, and that's just, trust me, that's a much better proof point for you to be able to taste the product and sample it and to see the differences in it. But start off with the before, nose it, and then pick up the after and compare it. I think what you'll notice is that it's definitely different. In talking with people who've been through tastings of mine over the years, they'll say, well, it doesn't smell as much. It smells lighter, it smells cleaner, it smells sweeter. When our tasters are doing this part of the process, our official whiskey tasters at Jack Daniel's, I always tell them that it should have a distinct absence of grainy nose. So you smell the difference, and it's like one is grainy, one is not. So we do this individually on every single vat. So we always want to make sure that there's an absence of graininess on the nose before we move to taste. But let's go back to the before glass. Pick it up. To me, as I describe the product, I think it has a little bit of what I call a clinging or an oily mouthfeel. It feels like it coats the inside of the mouth. And from a flavor standpoint, almost all the flavor is right in the back of your throat. I've told our tasters here, it's not just what you taste, but it's where you taste it that you need to pay attention to, because our palates are not random. I think salty is slightly random. You can detect saltiness no matter where it is on the tongue, but everything else is largely grouped. So your sweet taste buds are on the tip of your tongue, your sour taste buds are on the sides of your tongue and underneath, and then your bitter taste buds are located on the back of your tongue and throat. So the fact that the flavor of the before is all in the back of the throat means those are bitter flavors. If you read historical documents about bourbon whiskey, the ways that the barrel benefited the new spirit was that it would soften its bitter edge, or some phrasing of that. What you're tasting in the before glass, I described, that is the bitter edge. It's sort of that element of flavor about a bourbon that led it to be placed into a barrel to be softened and matured over the years. Let's go ahead and rinse away. And let's go ahead, before we forget what the before tasted like, go ahead and try the after. When it comes to the differences of the after whiskey, this of course, after means this has gone through 10 feet of hard sugar maple charcoal. This is no longer bourbon, but this is a proper Tennessee whiskey that's defined by state law. It has a different nose, but it also has a different mouthfeel. It's much cleaner and lighter. It's less clingy and oily in the mouth. It feels much lighter. The flavors are dissipating maybe a little bit more quickly than they were before. But the most startling thing is that the aftertaste that you had in the first glass is no longer there. The flavor's not in the back of the throat. It's on the body of the tongue, and it kind of tingles sharply to the tip. So people have asked me, what is it that charcoal mellowing does for Jack Daniel's, and why is it that Tennessee whiskeys are different than bourbons? It's a slang term, but I'll say that charcoal mellowing sweetens the whiskey, and it's because it brings it from the bitter zone in the back of the tongue, brings it forward in the mouth into the sweet zone. The way that charcoal works is it absorbs bitterness into itself. So it doesn't add, you can see it adds no color. It doesn't really add flavor, but it alters flavor by what it absorbs. It removes fatty acids, it removes other things different impurities and things that I think make the whiskey maybe not as good as it could be otherwise. But this is the historical process by which Jack Daniel's started and perfected back in the 1860s. And this is something that we're still doing today, slowly dripping through 10 feet of hard sugar maple charcoal. So the next time, somebody comes to you and asks you, hey, what makes Tennessee whiskey different than a bourbon? It's like, hey, I've got 2 bottles that will not just, show you and tell you, but allow you to taste exactly how different that they are. But I hope you enjoyed this and that you'll tell your friends. If you're a fan of Jack Daniel's, maybe you'll understand now why you are so. Regardless of whether or not you're drinking our before and after whiskey or one of our mature products, we just ask that whatever you do, that you'll drink responsibly and always enjoy yourself. Cheers.